The Go-Go's ruled the early 1980s with their catchy, radio-friendly hits, but much of what went on behind the scenes was dark and twisty. Here's a sometimes out of control and often out of sync story of the Go-Go's. The Go-Go's honed their sound in the Los Angeles punk and new wave scene in the late 1970s and early 1980s, and one of the key clubs of the day was the glam rock venue Bingenheimer's English Disco, run by star-making radio personality Rodney Bingenheimer. Future Go-Go's guitarist Jane Wiedlin was part of the Hollywooders, a group of music-loving friends from her LA high school who hung out at the club thanks to its relaxed approach to checking IDs. One night, Bingenheimer separated the inexperienced 15-year-old Wiedlin from her friends and sexually assaulted her in a private room. In an interview with Rolling Stone, she recalled, "I didn't know what to do. I was pretty much frozen. I didn't say anything. I didn't try to stop him." In the book Under the Big Black Sun, Wiedlin explained, "It was weird. It never occurred to me that that had been a crime. I didn't know what to think. It wasn't until the Me Too movement started when I realized I was sexually assaulted." As lead singer of the Go-Go's, Belinda Carlisle was the face of the band, and the media was fixated on her looks. She told Deseret News, "They mentioned how much I weighed, so I was cute and chubby, pretty and plump. It was always about my weight." Carlisle was already self-conscious about her weight. In her memoir, Lips Unsealed, she recalled being called fat and stupid by her own family. Wiedlin spotted Carlisle in LA punk clubs because she was wearing vintage dresses instead of the standard miniskirt. She told Rolling Stone, "I thought I was just extraordinarily hip. Now I know it's because she thought she was heavy." During Carlisle's time in the Go-Go's, she developed an eating disorder and a drug dependency, which helped her keep her weight down. Speaking to ABC News, she admitted, "I had a terrible relationship with food. If I did eat something wrong, I would be on the treadmill for hours and hours. If I ate a bite of that cookie, then I would just eat as many calories and count them as I went along, up to 5,000 and 6,000 a day." Around the time that the Go-Go's finished their third album, Talk Show, 26-year-old drummer Gina went in for a routine checkup, and the doctor discovered a pebble-sized hole in her heart. Determined to be a congenital birth defect, it wasn't immediately dangerous, but if left untreated, within 15 years, Schock would have had trouble performing basic tasks without getting exhausted. She decided to have surgery right away and turned down post-op prescription painkillers to speed up her recovery. The idea of Schock dying of a heart problem or on the table during open-heart surgery brought the band together in support of her. They planned a pre-surgery Palm Springs getaway weekend in case she croaked, guitarist Jane Wiedlin explained in the documentary The Go-Go's, and gave her alcohol, Valium, and psychedelic mushrooms, but no cocaine for fear it might trigger a heart attack. Bassist Kathy Valentine was living the rock star life of excess, instability, and lack of boundaries long before the Go-Go's. Her father, an airman from Lubbock, Texas, split when she was 3, leaving her mom Margaret to raise Valentine alone. It was the 1960s, and Margaret embraced the decade's wild spirit, giving her daughter free rein to do whatever she wanted. By age 12, Valentine was sexually active, sleeping with a high school boy. She got pregnant, but abortion was illegal in Texas at the time, so she and her mother drove to California for the procedure. A year later, Valentine was hitchhiking and wound up in an apartment of 2 men, one of whom assaulted her. She also misused drugs, sometimes with her mother, and rarely attended school. She dropped out in her freshman year to attend an alternative institution called Greenbrier, and things improved soon after when her mother's boyfriend, a drug dealer who'd escaped prison, taught her to play the guitar. The founding members of the Go-Go's all came out of the LA punk scene, but original bassist Margot Oliveria turned out to be more diehard than her bandmates.
I was such a punk, it was like my identity.
When the band veered toward top 40 pop rock, she resisted, calling the move a cutthroat drive for commercial success. She hated it. She was like, "I don't want to be a pop band, I'm in a punk band." And I think the rest of us were like, "This is evolving, so get with it or get out." Still, Oliveria didn't leave the Go-Go's voluntarily. In 1980, she contracted hepatitis A and took time away from her band to recover. When she was ready to return, she learned she'd been replaced by Kathy Valentine. Oliveria sued the Go-Go's in 1982. The lawsuit was settled 2 years later, but she and Carlisle, once close friends and bandmates, never spoke again. Many of the Go-Go's biggest hits were written by Wiedlin, including its breakthrough breakup song, Our Lips Are Sealed. Wiedlin wrote the music based on a letter written to her by Terry Hall, singer in the ska band The Specials. Speaking with Songfacts, Wiedlin explained, "They came to see us and they really liked us and asked us if we would be their opening act on their tour. Terry Hall sent me the lyrics to Our Lips Are Sealed later in the mail, and it was kind of about our relationship because he had a girlfriend at home, but it was all very dramatic." It wasn't the first of Wiedlin's high-profile romances to end badly. In the early days of the Go-Go's, Wiedlin and Schock had a brief affair until Wiedlin called it off. And after the Go-Go's broke up, Wiedlin married music manager Jed Malone. In 1999, the couple divorced after 12 years together. In 2004, Wiedlin married David Trotter, but that relationship ended after about a year. She then got involved with recording engineer Travis Kasperbauer, and later married her third husband, addiction recovery company CEO Terrence Lundy. That marriage ended after 2 years in 2024. Carlisle began dabbling in drugs at the age of 14. She told Fox News, "One of the reasons I got into cocaine was because it was an appetite suppressant. But then a serious addiction set in." She admitted to The Guardian, "I can't believe I'm not dead. I should actually look like the Phantom of the Opera with just 2 holes in the front of my face." Carlisle also drank heavily even during pregnancy and didn't care if people saw, explaining, "I didn't notice and I didn't pay attention. I only noticed what I cared to notice." Carlisle spent much of the 1980s under the influence of drugs. She told Spin, "I had very low self-esteem. I hated myself. I had humiliated myself in public over the past 5 years so many times, I just didn't feel like doing that anymore." But despite the fact that Carlisle came from a family with 7 kids, she didn't get the support she needed when things were hard. They had no idea what was going on with me, at all. My mom didn't want to believe that I had a drug problem. Carlisle felt disconnected from her immediate relatives, sharing, "I want to be close to them. I feel kind of uncomfortable. I think I feel guilty sometimes about my success in some ways." In 2005, at age 47, Carlisle finally got sober. From an early age, guitarist Jane Wiedlin has dealt with mental health issues. In Under the Big Black Sun, she explained, "I'd been struggling with severe depression since puberty had hit me like a freight train at the tender age of 11. Around the time that she turned 16, Wiedlin attempted suicide. She wrote, "I was in a coma for days, and it was feared that I was going to be blind and have kidney damage, but I obviously survived." In 2024, Wiedlin contracted COVID-19, which developed into long COVID. By the end of 2024, Wiedlin had decided to sell her home in Hawaii in order to return to mainland USA for medical care. Shortly after joining the Go-Go's in 1978, guitarist Charlotte Caffey traveled to England with her boyfriend, Leonard Phillips, of punk rock band The Dickies, where she began using heroin. In the book More Fun in the New World, The Unmaking and Legacy of LA Punk, Caffey wrote, "I snorted something the size of a matchstick tip thinking, oh, it's not much, I probably won't feel it. I was wrong, and that one fateful decision changed the direction of my life. I instantly became addicted, and I spent the next 7 years trying to hide it."
I look really straight, but I have a very twisted mind.
After the band signed with IRS Records in 1981, Caffey thought 6 weeks in New York recording Beauty and the Beats would help her get clean, but instead she trolled the Alphabet City neighborhood in search of heroin. As the Go-Go's became more successful, Caffey added cocaine and excessive amounts of alcohol to her daily habits, and would frequently drive under the influence. All the while, she remained the band's most active songwriter. In 1984, at the suggestion of new Go-Go's bassist Paula Jean Brown, Caffey checked into rehab.
In the course of a year, we had gone from playing dive bars to Madison Square Garden.
The Go-Go's loomed large in 80s rock, but their time at the top was brief. Their first album, Beauty and the Beat, hit stores in 1981, and the third and final album, not counting a 2001 reunion record, came out 3 years later. Wiedlin left the band in October 1984 to go off on her own. Valentine switched from bass to guitar to replace Wiedlin, and the band hired new bassist Paula Jean Brown. But Carlisle and Caffey were over it, so in 1985 they broke up the band without telling Valentine and Shock or even asking their opinion.
So you guys just kind of,
We
walked.
just kind of, yeah, we said, see you later.
According to Valentine's memoir, All I Ever Wanted, she and Shock were called to their manager's office, where they were coldly informed that the Go-Go's were done. When a successful band breaks up, the aftermath can be complicated. It's like closing a business, with legal and financial contracts and agreements needing to be officially dissolved. When the Go-Go's split up in 1985, the band's company, the Go-Go's Partnership, shut down. But in 1997, Shock sued, alleging that she was owed royalty payments, and Caffey sat on them. In the suit, Shock alleged breach of contract, breach of fiduciary duty, and fraud, among other crimes, and asked for $100,000. The suit was quietly settled, and Shock and Caffey signed an agreement to not discuss the case any further. In the summer of 2012, the Go-Go's reunited for a tour to celebrate the 30th anniversary of the release of its breakthrough album Vacation. Unfortunately, Valentine wasn't in the lineup because she was having wrist surgery, but she planned to join the second leg of the tour. That didn't happen. An official band statement released in March 2013 read, "The Go-Go's have parted ways with bassist Kathy Valentine, citing irreconcilable differences." At first, the reason for the dispute was a mystery, but in May 2013, things became a bit clearer when Valentine sued her 4 bandmates for reorganizing the band's corporate structure, reducing her profit sharing from 20 to 2%, costing her around $1 million. Valentine also alleged that the band conspired to keep her off of a summer 2013 tour. Fortunately, by 2018, the lawsuit was settled out of court and relationships were mended enough for Valentine to rejoin the Go-Go's on the road.